Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Cuban.
Hello. I ran
You should,
away.
you should have went looking for Al Benoit. He's out there with his future wife. And
Oh, is
yeah, Al goes out there all the time and spends months and works from there. And spend maybe a couple of months there once a year.
he?
And eventually he's going to move his wife here, or he's going to retire himself out in Cuba.
Oh, nice. Good. I'll stay at his place next time. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah. bum a room over there.
Yeah.
My wife don't like going out to Cuba too. I've never been to Cuba. I know they've tried to convince me to go a few times. I have not gone. They say it's beautiful and everything, but
It is beautiful. It was my first time as well.
yeah, and I just I'm happy and brave enough to come to Palm Springs, where I actually really like it here, and golf and exercise and meditate and try to get myself all freshen up for. But I still work, of course. I was in meetings yesterday,
Yeah.
about 2 hours meetings yesterday, and of course the internet is a new creature that gets you no matter where you are now. So as long as you have internet, you're in big trouble. You're still at work.
You should go to Cuba. The internet's not very good there. You'd actually get a break.
We have a hard time getting hold of Al Benoit out there sometimes. So,
Yeah.
so that's where I should go with Cuba. No, but it's just I had some very important meetings I have to get through. One yesterday, in fact, just to give an update to everybody out there on the Child and Family Special Allowance Fund negotiations. That's moving forward, and we're working towards. We have a JDR, I believe, on the 26th, which what people say, what the hell is that? It's where we go before a judge, and now we're at the point where we put in our proposals to the province. Of course, we represent the Métis ourselves. Now, before, there was a group called DD West, a law firm, and along with Saxberg and Cochrane were joined forces where they were working towards to represent all of us clearly without our permission, and definitely now to represent our children and decide what's best for our children instead of our own agencies, our own government. So we were quite upset with that, and we went to court and we beat them. We won in court. They had no right to represent us, and that we would represent ourselves and represent the children that we are responsible for. So, and of course, I made a commitment publicly already that every cent taken from them will be returned to them. And that's something that we plan to keep that word. Our government is solid on that issue, that money belongs to the children and will go back into the pockets of the children. Some of them still in care, some out of care. And so just an update, I was talking to lawyers yesterday and getting some feedback. We got a response from the province. The proposals that were sent in, one by DD West and all of them, are being rejected by the province, and we sent in ours. So right now the province says, look, we're not going to accept the way these things are coming forward, and that's not how we want to make payment or schedule it. We definitely want to settle, but not to the degree of what's being asked. So we're going to, of course, sit down with the province and come to a term which is best for the children. And so we're hoping we can get that before January 26th, settle that issue, go before the judge saying, here, it's all settled. We both agree, the province and us, and we want to move forward on getting this money to our children and to some of them who are adults now, and get that money in their bank accounts and let them hopefully use the resources that's theirs for whatever purpose. Maybe getting a bit better apartment or moving ahead or buying something or putting towards education or planning something to help with their family. And maybe they may have children today, they might be married, they might be living in a different relation, or they might be struggling and they need help. So it's a big settlement. Let's not forget it's over $300 million.
Yeah.
People listening right now, First Nations and Métis, there's over $300 million at stake here. And so we want to make sure that, as I said, we will protect our children. And we have made it very clear that 100% of every check taken from that child will go back in the pockets of that child. So again, I'm very proud of my government for that. We stand firm on that. So that's what I was doing yesterday for a couple of hours and speaking to my minister, of course. That's Mona Beers. She's the one leading this file. She's doing an excellent job. And she takes this job very, very seriously. A school teacher and a pastor herself, and so now she's the Minister of Child and Family, and she's on the ball on this file. And of course, our team is just getting ready to move forward. And I want to get this settled as soon as we can so we can start moving on it. And because we still have to set up the system, some kids will have to find. Some kids will have to do advertisements. We'll have to look at where you realize that there's a check here for you. You realize that there's resources that was taken from you. Now you have a chance to get it back. We need to track you down. And for those others, we'll be able to find those in care. We can continue to invest their money for them and wait until they're at age, and then they can make their decision what they want to do. We're also going to give financial support, meaning that we'll hire people to advise what they want to do, help them open a bank account, all these things that are necessary. Maybe look and understand how money can be invested, put away. Because I said some checks may be 60,000, 80,000. Some might be less. Lots of them would be less because some are only there for a year or two. Mm-hmm. Some are there for a long time. So,
what if those children are on maybe social assistance at this point? Is that something that's going to be hindered?
No, you know me, never in hell.
That's good.
They tried the same thing with us on Summerberry. I was able to make sure that did not occur when we settled the Summerberry trappers. People that were for tax purposes and for welfare, for social services purposes, mm-hmm. we made sure there were clauses inside there that prevent the province from clawing back. Because that was one of the things I was very worried about. I've seen it happen to our people in the past, many, many months ago.
Yeah. And
so in Summerberry, we put the clause in there. And the same will apply here. We will not settle anything unless we ensure our people that money is like in their inheritance. Child and family social funds are not taxable, and there should be no way that the province can use a policy to claw back. Right. So if they happen to be on social assistance, can't find a job, et cetera, this should not be to penalize them. This should be to help them advance their situation. So then we have, of course, challenges of kids have died, and some have, for sure. Mm-hmm. What happens goes to what system. So in Summerberry, we had a good model. It worked very well. We might be introducing that model. So there'll be a lot of updates coming. There'll be, for sure, meetings happening across the province, and we'll track down. As I said, we have our settlement, I think, is around the range of, I'll just use this number, close to 60 million mm-hmm. or more, and maybe about 80 million, something like that nature. So don't give me those. Nobody say quote those numbers, please. Mm-hmm. Don't quote them, because I'm just reading off the top of my head here. Because I know it was at 55 million at one time, but then there's still cost of delivering it. We have to hire, of course, staff to make sure that there's a methodology of getting this delivered. We still have our lawyers preparing the system, ensuring that you just raised a very good question. What happens to people who are in social assistance? Mm-hmm. Well, we got to make sure that nobody can ever take that money back from them and start. And that was the whole purpose of this thing. It's a good question, because if you look at what happened in Child Family Services, and it's still happening right now, we'll sit down with the NDP, with Naomi Fontaine, to fix the problem. But pretty soon we should be out of it with Bill 92, which is a different story. But let me go back to this first thing. The whole issue of what happened in Child Family Services is the province in Manitoba, and I think there's only one other province in Canada that did this. They made sure that the child allowance money was being used to pay for the care of the children. Mm-hmm. And that child allowance money was never intended for that. So Manitoba, and I believe, I'm not sure it was Alberta, one other province kept using that model. So they kept on clawing back the annual funding to make sure that it matched the child allowance money. And we used to fight with the province saying, you're in deficit, you owe us this money, et cetera, et cetera. And so we fought for a long time with the province on this issue, and eventually we won in court, and that rests our position in a better way today. But that was the whole purpose. They were clawing back. Then what they've done, and what we have to talk to the NDP government about, mm-hmm. Is that they shortchanged it. Say, for example, I think our budget's about 62 million to run the child family services across the province. So what they'll do is they'll give you short the amount of child allowance money. So instead of giving you 62 million, they may give you 50 million. And say, use the other 12 million and give you just allowance to run it. So really, they're still clawing back. And then, so we have to sit down with NDP. But, of course, we have Bill 92, which is a big one, and that's Canada, sitting down with the Métis government, the MMF, and negotiating a direct relationship with Canada. So Canada then will come in with resources. So this way, the children's child allowance money will never be touched. And that will always be there, set aside in trust for the children to make sure when they start their life and the headache they're going to have trying to rebuild themselves, is going to need resources. So that's the big issue we had. We just, as I said, I was working for hours on that file yesterday, and so I believe it's going to be a big one for so many kids in care, and it's going to, I'm sure, enlighten them that we never give up on them. Now, another news update. Peter Fleming reached out to me here. Of course, he's a co-minister of natural resources along with Leo Plante. A reminder, January 15th, all big game hunting closes. So all big game hunting closes. Remind all Métis harvesters, no longer after January 15th, it's all closed. There's no hunting now until July. I believe it opens again. Other than that, animals to allow them to prosper. Of course, a lot of them will be calving and let them raise their calves into a situation where they can be independent. In the future, they'll be eligible for harvesting. So no more hunting after January 15th. If you do, then the Métis government themselves will punish you for breaching the law of the Métis government and the Métis people. This was, of course, developed by our elders, and that's something that we respect dearly. Also, I had a good chat with Mayor Scott Gillingham, and that's Lene Forest in St. Norbert. That issue has been coming back and forth quite a bit in the news, and now they're saying there's a potential mass grave site there, and the AMC has raised that issue. And there's also rebuttal saying there is no mass grave site there. There might be some potential grave site, but they're not sure. They're getting more details. And so we're looking at that very closely. And, of course, they're saying a large majority of all those buried there, if there was one, would be Métis. So what we're doing now is looking at both fronts. We're looking at the forest itself. It's 22.5 acres. And of course, that's a Métis territory without question. That was our homeland. And so we want to make sure now that how we progress ahead, all this is now privately owned. So when you have privately owned lands, it's a different position to watch and oversee. So what we're looking at is what role it'll play. Now, at one time, the fair market value of this thing was about $2 million. In 2018, it was 1.5. Now I understand they're going up higher, the owner, trying to get, of course, given everybody's interested in it now, the price is just climbing up higher. So we're talking with the mayor to see what would happen. I understand there's a big push to make it into a city park, which then will be protected throughout. And so we'll look at, in partnership, we'll work with the city, we'll work with other people and other groups. I understand EMC are also involved. Work with them if they want to work with us. And see how we can move ahead. I understand there's some discussions right now happening. And then we're going to dig more into these comments being made and the rebuttals. People are saying, no, there's no grave there. There's no graveyard there. And people are saying, well, where did they bury the kids? There was a Catholic orphanage there. So again, unwed mothers it was called. And so we're going to keep on digging into the history of this. We have some staff working on it. And we'll keep on advising our citizens of this issue. And at the same time, the MMF will definitely be having a role to play or a position to play on this forest. And that might require us to purchase the land ourselves, work with somebody on the land, and see how it continues to be within the objective of the Federation and how it meets our needs and our people's desires. So again, I'll keep you posted on that. Our staff are working on this issue right now with the city and with all partners that want to talk to us. And we'll keep on looking. I know Park Canada and our team will talking back and forth, and we'll see where this leads to in the future. We'll keep you posted on the Métis Hour and in our website.
Okay.
There's also, again, one, of course, that still interests me and concerns me is the grave sites. I know AMC has made a strong statement on it, but that there's mass graves there. And that, of course, should trigger anybody's concerns quickly. And so we just want to make sure that we're speaking from fact and ensuring that what we say is going to be backed up 100%. So again, that's the style of the Federation. We always make sure before we speak, we do a little bit of homework to make sure it's all in place. And that actually reminds me that there was I got a brief here while I was out here, a discussion with Minister Campbell, of course, Minister of Finance, and there was some, people upset, ranting, raving on our websites about the closure of the MAP house in Brandon. It's a MAP lab house, and I guess it employed some people in there. There was 4 people in training, I believe, on the Chif languages. In fact, it was what occurred there is, and somebody didn't do their homework here, should have checked the MMF, what are we talking about, why is it being revamped? Well, what's happening is Canada's changed the preservation of Indigenous languages, endangered languages, and there's a new program that's been put in place, which we have now responsibility for all Red River Métis citizens, and we also have the responsibility to ensure that the opportunity of others to apply to programs can be funded by us, through us now, instead of through Canada. So we're revamping the program as we speak. We've got to be very diligent in how the money is going to be expended, and to make sure that the program is only limited. It's only a short time period. I think it's a 3-year program that may exist up to 5. I think 2 years is gone already. I know that L'Oreal Institute, which is as a separate board, we're actually revamping, so people will know, revamping the entire L'Oreal Institute, because it's managed by a separate board of university professors. And what concerns me is that the L'Oreal Institute, and I've raised this with the province already, and previous government also, the L'Oreal Institute and the legislation that comes out of government of Manitoba is meaningless. It's toothless. It has no value. But there's a legislation that sits from way, way back that is in the process which is legally ratified, but it has no purpose. It has no objective beyond just a name. And so it doesn't get funding from the province. It gets no support from the province. Yet one of the responsibilities is that we have to have the university sitting on this board and deciding the fate of L'Oreal Institute, yet they don't put a penny into it. And so what we're actually doing now, given education is a big priority for our people, we're going to revamp the L'Oreal Institute to be more in tune with the people's vision, where we're going, and if necessary, remove ourselves completely away from that legislation, because it's a meaningless document that's sitting there, and governments can brag about having it, but it means nothing. Plus, they don't even fund it. So that's something we're working on. So people out there, just be patient. I know Andrew Carrier is our minister. He'll come up with a big plan, a big program. And then what happens after 3 years, after the funding ends, what happens to the Chif language? It can't just be 3 years. We've got to figure out how do we keep this language living and moving forward. And I apologize to anybody who feels slighted by the actions of the changes, but they have to make changes. They have no choice because, as I said, Canada's changed its model. We've got to change within that suit. At the same time, we've got to make sure now the program, what happens when the funding ends. We have to think not only this year, we've got to think 2 years, 3 years in advance already. So we've got to be preparing ourselves. And so the program will still be going. The Chif language will still be there. It's just changing the way it's doing its business now, and changing the way the structure is to make sure it's more attainable, and people can reach out to it no matter where they are, as long as they're Red River citizens. So again, we have a big responsibility there, and it's a big priority for us in our government. I also want to speak a little bit about another comment that was sent out to me yesterday from Dawson River First Nation councillor, a guy by the name of Derek Witander, who was making some comments during his preaching, I guess, during an event, where he spoke quite strongly against ribbon skirts and shirts, and that's First Nation jurisdiction. I won't speak on that, but I'll say this: as a leader, I take strong offense to his attack against ribbon skirts and shirts, and that they should be put outside and burnt, and basically just discarded, and that the way to heaven basically is that you go through Jesus and through God, and the ribbon skirts and shirts will not take you there. Well, I think he's absolutely wrong. Ribbon skirts and shirts go back at least 10,000 years. Jesus Christ is only over 2,000 years. And, my mom was a strong Catholic, and my mom always respected all cultures and all religions. And she always raised us that way. So for somebody to say now ribbon skirts are against Jesus or against God is absolutely wrong. And as you know, I go to churches all around the world, and I pray everywhere. And that's for me, I've been raised and taught to always respect other people's cultures or religions, because it's vital. They have to believe in something. And it's important you let them believe in what they need to believe in to help them. So I think the preacher should do some reading of the Bible that he's trying to preach on, because there is a comment in the Bible says, this is from Romans 15:7, if you want to know, specifically says, accept one another, then just as Christ accepted you in order to bring praise to God. So really, I'm not here to affirm, but I'm just telling you that the Bible itself teaches you to respect one another and support each other as the way of Jesus Christ. So from a Catholic perspective, I think the comments are made. He also said red or jig has got to stop. You got to quit using red or jig. That culture has got to end, and you got to go my way kind of concept. Well, let me tell Mr. Sander that the red or jig will never die. The Red River Métis people will keep it alive and will keep on proudly performing, and First Nations also perform our dance. And clearly, we will always be proud to showcase how proud we are of the Red River Jig. We developed it, we founded it, and it's in our blood. And you tell a Métis you're going to not allow the jig no more, you might as well get ready to go for war. We will defend our culture vigorously and strongly. So I understand he's apologizing now. It's good to see that he's doing that. I think but it's very important. It's very dangerous when you have somebody at that level that people will listen to or follow. It's like, not trying to line him up that he's like Donald Trump. But look how Donald Trump, how crazy he is in the United States, and people followed him, and people died when they took over their legislative body out there. And so it's dangerous when you preach something, especially when people are listening to you. You've got to make sure you know what you're speaking of, and at the same time, you got to be able to back up what you're saying. So, as I said, I am pleased he didn't apologize for Red River Jig. He's apologized for ribbon shirts and ribbon skirts and the shirts and other First Nation artifacts to be burnt. He's apologized for that. He never apologized for Red River Jig to die. So again, I don't need his apology. To be honest with you, our people don't need it. We will always keep the Red River Jig alive, and we'll never ever allow anybody to assault it or in any fashion think they could ever kill it. So again, for me, I'm proud of the First Nations and how they're really reviving their culture. They come a long way. We went through hell and back, and now they're coming back. And I think it's a good thing for people like Mr. Latander and others. In fact, I think he's a band counselor himself, is to revive the importance of why culture and religion sometimes are connected, and you need to support both and respect both. So anyways, I thought I'd speak on that. Also, I want to thank the NDP government, and the government itself was working on looking at the highway, and of course, where we all know, collision near Carberry, a tragic highway accident that occurred, and many people passed and were perished. 17 deaths occurred, and then there was an accident not far later from that same site again. So they're now looking at changing it, and some were Métis citizens that passed away in that car accident and bus accident. And so, of course, our condolences still go out to the memory of those people who have to hear about this being revived again and talked about. But I want to thank my region, of course, and Francis, Peter, and Porky was around at the time, because what the hell was Porky's real name? I just know Miss Porky. He's on cabinet. John Bronco, that's his real name. We always call him Porky. He was on cabinet at the time, and now we have, of course, PJ, which is Peter Fleming, and Richard Janai. So, again, they worked very hard to work with the Dawson community, the families, and helping with their building and providing all the support they can to make sure that during this hard time that they're facing with so many people died. And let me tell you, from where I am right now, when you're going from any side road into the main road, it is challenging. I'm telling you, very challenging. So changing one location, I think the picture's got to be bigger than that one location, because here you're allowed to go 50, 55 miles an hour and they look like street highways, like you're downtown. But you've got to get on there. You've got to be watching very carefully on both sides, and you've got to give it enough time. Remember, they're not coming at 50 kilometers an hour. They're coming at 55 miles an hour. And this is just going on one of the main roads, like going down onto Portage Avenue. So it's the same thing out here, and they drive at a very high speeds. So we've got to figure it out. We do have a middle road that you can quickly get onto, because you may only get on one lane, the double lane, past the cars going east or west, and then the other one's going the opposite way. You can jump into that middle lane and wait to turn into the other lane of two lanes coming the opposite way now.
Yeah.
So, but I'm telling you, you got to watch. You got to keep very close attention. So I think, if we don't look at a strategy of how we figure out a proper process, we'll still see more accidents again. But again, it just shows you, even have to be out here where I am, you've got to watch when you're going into them. And this is not a perimeter I'm talking about. We're talking internal streets here in Palm Springs. They go at 55 miles an hour.
Wow.
And so you just got to watch when you're cutting in. There's a stop sign there, but you're cutting in, you've got to watch. You've got to plan your timing and move forward. So next thing you know, you'll be in the midst of a very serious accident. So, again, a condolences still to all those families. And, again, thank the region for the hard work on making sure that was well organized by us to help out Dauphin and all the other families, not just the Métis families, all families that were affected by such a tragic incident. So I want to say some birthdays in that, and I also want to go with the activity. Right now in the southeast region, the Canadian Firearms Safety Course is happening in Grand Marais today.
Yeah.
St. Malo and Loretta are working on their beating circles. Richard as sash weaving next week. 10 Southeast locals are busy preparing for L'Oreal Day. Don't forget, everybody, L'Oreal Day is coming up. It's a holiday named after our founder and the first premier of Manitoba, L'Oreal. And also Northwest Métis Council local leadership are actually listening to us right now in Dauphin. That's, again, Francis Chartrand, Peter Fleming, and Richard actually has gone to see his wife in the Philippines.
Oh, yeah, I saw that.
Yeah, he took off, and he's gone, and of course, he's still working hard to try to bring her into Canada and to move to Duck Bay. She's going to be a hell of a surprise. It said from the Philippines to minus 30 below.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, they've been married now. They've been with each other about 4.5 years now, and they got married last year. So I know he's looking forward to bringing her home, and she's a very nice woman. I talk to her all the time on the phone and FaceTime. What do you call that thing when you can see each other on a screen? I think
it's FaceTime.
Yeah, that thing. So she's a very nice woman. I hope he's successful soon to bring her home. He's been working on his house in Duck Bay to get her to come home and live with him here in Manitoba and Duck Bay. Anyways, I want to say some special birthdays now. Mm-hmm. Happy 54th birthday going to Minister Daryl Ferland, who's celebrating his birthday today, Saturday, January 13th. Ooh, Daryl. Daryl, of course, is a minister in ECDEV with me for the past years now. He's Minister of Fisheries, and so he's been quite busy on the file. And there's a lot of stuff happening in fisheries. I want to keep on reminding people. Right now, Canada's still looking at what they're going to do with fresh water. They might put in a tender product where the fresh water will be sold in a public tender. We're looking at ensuring that that's not going to happen with our say or input, because it affects all our fishermen, and we want to make sure our fishermen are well protected, and there should be a better plan than potentially just selling to another private buyer. So it's a Crown corporation, and so Daryl's got his hands full in that file, and he's got to make sure he's on top of it. Jack Park is also out. He's listening. He's out here. He wants to celebrate his Habitat Park's birthday, and so happy birthday on January 19th for birthday coming from your dad, from Jack Park. But he's going home soon. He misses Manitoba. He wants to get back to that cool weather. He showed me the snow that they're shoveling at his yard. It's unbelievable how much snow fell in Selkirk over there in front of him. It's like a big pile of.
Oh, I know. I had to shove my foot off on my car too.
Unbelievable. I just, we shouldn't be unbelievable. That's what winter is for us in Canada, and especially Manitoba. So.
And it's much needed right now for those winter roads and everything else.
Well, I heard a caller say today, I love winter. I'm sorry, I don't want to hurt anybody's feelings, but I love winter. I actually love winter too. I truly do. I told my wife that I wonder what that'd be if we ever had Christmas without snow.
That would be weird.
We're talking about it here. It'd be weird, very weird.
Yeah.
So and of course that cold is, we prepare ourselves, we dress for it. So there's a cold here. Like people think, oh, desert, hot springs. I'm telling you, man, at 4:30. 5 o'clock, you got to put on a jacket. You got to put on a pants. Right now, it's cold out here.
Yeah.
In the evening, as soon as that sun goes to the other side of the mountain, it is very cold. It's a different kind of cold. And so, but you're not dressed for a heater, right? In the daytime, it's hot, and in the nighttime, it gets really cold. Mm-hmm. So it's a different climate. Also, happy 19th birthday going to Marlena Paranto. That's Thomas Paranto's daughter. Something I'm very, very proud of. She was one of the hockey stars in many tournaments, and now she's pursuing a different career. I also want to say a happy birthday is going out to Derek Danielson. That's coming from me and Gloria and his family, his wife, and his brothers, and all of them that they. And today's a special day for him. January 13th today's his birthday, and he's a Philly nut. Like if you look at Flin Flon, of course Bobby Clarke comes from there, and Cranberry. You ask, why are they so crazy about Philadelphia?
Mm-hmm.
Well, Bobby Clarke was with the Flin Flon Bombers. He's some that, of course, big supporters of around that surrounding area. Cranberry is right beside Flin Flon, so everybody supported Bobby Clarke. Bobby Clarke was drafted to Philly and became a legend. So people in Cranberry, they're either a Philly fan and majority of them are, or Boston Bruins is a few of them, Montreal Canadiens is a few of them, but Philadelphia dominates Cranberry. Mm-hmm. And so this Danielson family here, these are absolutely crazy about hockey and Philly. So it's his birthday today, and he's going to see the Philly play the Winnipeg Jets.
Oh.
Unfortunately, he's going to get a good licking this evening, and it's not going to be the best birthday ever for him. The Jets are hot right now, although Sheffield's injured. They're still hot. They beat Chicago, and they said, Summers saying, well, yeah, barely beat them. They still won. Whether they win by 1 or 20, they still won. Mm-hmm. So I'm sorry, Derek. Happy birthday, but you're going to get your hiney dealt with this evening, as Winnipeg is going to dominate, I'm sure. They're on a hot streak right now, undefeated, and on top of the entire league. And that's something that we need to really be proud of. So, again, happy birthday from Gloria and everybody else, and I wish you well in your game tonight. And I'm going to try to watch it here if I can. I hope I can watch it out here. I'm going to try to find it. And without further ado, I'll say it's time for me to say goodbye and listen to the rest of the show, and thank you all callers for calling in.
Oh, and Ray is listening right now, and he keeps saying, Kimberly Dawn's visiting him right now, and she said, all he keeps saying is, he's so amazing as he's listening to your report.
No, Ray is one of my legends and always will be.
Yeah.
Ray is our legend of our people, and I heard you talk about Clint Dudium. He's another one of our legends.
Yeah.
I miss Clint myself a lot, and I'm so proud. I want to close off with this. I'm so proud I let him wear the 1800s, in the era of 1800s, the jacket he wore when he did a fiddle tune. We have a jacket at the Federation that comes from the 1800s, late 1800s, mm-hmm. and he wore it during a fiddle video, and he was so proud to wear it. So I'm so lucky we had got him to wear it, and we can keep that video with us forever. So, but Ray was always going to be one of our Métis Nation legends of the Red River. So, and he was singing it when nobody was proud of it, and he was singing proud to be Métis when people were afraid to say they were Métis. So, Ray, you do well. You take care, my friend, and we will have to do coffee soon.
Yes.
Take care, everybody. Take care again. Thank you, Cowboy, for finding me. And see you, my wife, and she was sick, and she's getting better now. Don was sick. He's getting better now. And that flu has been hitting a lot of people. My grandson's sick right now. And so we've got to watch him very carefully, of course, because he's got that rare syndrome.
Right.
And so they watch it very, very carefully. So, okay, take care, buddy, and we'll talk to you guys next Saturday.
Okay, take care, David. Enjoy your vacation.
Okay, bye-bye.